I'm audible, Prabhu. You are able to hear me?
Yes. Hare Krishna. So we welcome all the devotees for today's discussion on devotee care for the old and the aging. As ISKCON is entering into its 55th year since it has been founded, we are looking at a global congregation of devotees, both in the temple and in the congregations, who are facing the challenge of coping with old age. And as a very important element of devotee care, temples and communities need to equip themselves on how to deal with this situation. So we are very fortunate that we have with us two such experts who have spent several years dealing with this particular issue on how to provide the best kind of care for the aging. First, we have His Grace Sachi Pran Prabhu, who is connected very much to the Bhaktivedanta Hospital and is one of the trustees. And he's also running a couple of old age homes very near to Mumbai, which is on the outskirts of Mumbai. And I begin by calling upon Sachipran Prabhu to share some of his experiences while running a facility like this, caring for the old. And you could just give a brief idea about some of those facilities.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving this opportunity for sharing my thought. So we are running assisted living center in Vasai as well as in Palghar. We are beginning with a new center, and also we have a palliative care center in Sasupada and one in hospice in Vrindavan. So my experience with this running an assisted living center is definitely we can do much more, but taking care of the patients in assisted living center is a joy because in elderly care, Vaishnava is like a reverser of life, I can say, because they behave exactly like a child. We can exactly see how when we are a child. So similarly, the elderly Vaishnavas are elderly patients who come to our centers. They behave exactly like a child. They need different kind of care, different kind of attention, the engagement. So, so we have very nice experience of engaging Vaishnavas or patients into the service, and we find that they should feel encouraged. They should feel always been wanted. Basically, the feeling of an elderly assisted living is they always wanted to show that they are needed in the society. So this feeling of loneliness in their heart is been taken care by right engagement in the center. Whatever skills they are having, they can engage that skills into service of the society, and we are doing that in many of the places. We give spiritual care and spiritual discourses regular basis to our patients, so they feel very joy connecting with Krishna. And then main part is about diet, which is our spiritual prasadam. They feel very nice, it nourishes their soul. So, and then physical care happen because our centers are linked with the hospitals. So basically, they get medical care, proper medical care, and plus they are having the addition of spiritual care, and then regular discourses, spiritual discourses, chanting sessions will help them to come out of this loneliness. They have complete engagement. So I think such facilities are needed in our society to take care of such kind of elderly Vaishnavas, and we can feel them wanted in the society, and they can do much more. So this much I can share from our my experiences in running an assisted living centers in our district.
Thank you, Sachipran Prabhu. I'll come back to you again.
Yeah.
Now I move on to Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, who has an interesting journey that actually, he has done his master's in general surgery from Nagpur University, and after that he somehow got into geriatrics. So that's a pretty amazing switch which is not usual. So first of all, I want to begin by asking what made you, Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, switch from a lucrative, surgical line into geriatrics.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gaurang Prabhu, for having me. And yes, I always wanted to be a surgeon when I entered the medical profession. And I practiced in India for some time after completing my MS in general surgery. And I actually came to the US to get further training in surgery. And I did 1 year of surgical residency in New York also. But then, for several reasons, I decided to switch to geriatrics. And one of the important reasons is I really enjoy taking care of patients of all age groups, but caring for the seniors gives me a very special joy. And I personally learned so much from the seniors, from the senior patients, the geriatric patients. And also, when I came to America, I realized that all the baby boomers, those born in the 1940s and 1950s, they are all entering the geriatric age group now. And the geriatric population is increasing. Around 20% of the population is geriatric, 65 years and above. So just like we have pediatrics to take care of children, and it requires specialized treatments, specific dosages of all the medicines, everything is different for pediatrics. Similarly for geriatrics also, because their kidneys and livers are getting weaker, even the medicine dosages, it's very specialized and very specific to that patient population. And I realized that there will be a lot of need for geriatric care in the future, and it was of special interest to me also. So I switched to geriatrics, where I can still use my surgical skills. I still do minor surgeries under local anesthesia, but majority of my practice focus, 90% of it, is medical care of the geriatric patients, and I really enjoy it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for sharing that history. And, turning back to Sachipran Prabhu,
Yes.
one of the challenges people always face is the financial, obligations which are connected with old age care. So, in your particular model, where you have this old age care setup, how do you manage the finances? And my second question is, if there is a group of ISKCON devotees in some part of the world and they feel inspired to start a setup like this for assisted living, does it require a terrific amount of medical intervention, or what are some of the thumb rules which they should keep in mind while planning such an old age care setup?
Yes, Prabhuji. So mostly what happens when we discuss about old age care, there are 4 to 5 type of care. Like one is we expecting physical care. Most of the elderly Vaishnavas, they need very little medical management. Mostly they have emotional kind of requirement. There is a need of a assistant in their own spiritual journey. But most of the patients, they have very less medical management. There are 2 kind of assisted living. One is those who are having some chronic disorder. In that case, we definitely need expenses of medical care along with the assisted living. But those who are having no medical issues, but they are just aging and they are just need a kind of support system for their own livelihood, such kind of, like we say, the old age home. But most of the old age home, they have one doctor occasionally visiting, just for coming and giving some medical advice. But if you have proper medical person attached to the old age home, and they can also take care of both the sides, means those who don't require regular medical management or those who require medical management. So financial situations in old age home, basically most of them are supported by their families, but those who don't have any support, as a trust we take care of them. As a trust we support through our trust fund, for the most of the time, and it is like in most of the cases it is sustainable model. It is never a like we have to raise huge fund, because it basically required a very good living facility with a proper caregivers who knows about how to take care of elderly Vaishnavas, and some kind of medical management, those who require elderly care. So this is the three things, and then spiritual discourses and regular spiritual kathas and engagement to them for going towards various areas, sightseeing, engaging them in various activities. So proper caregiver who have been well trained in giving the care to Vaishnavas, elderly Vaishnavas, and some kind of medical management backup will take care in a very sustainable model. There is no need of a huge fund, but if required a medical management 80% and then 20% care management, in that case we need to think about keeping an insurance policies right from the beginning of this, so that all the payment been taken care by the insurance company and we have to take care only a care concept. So the thumb rule is insurance is required for all the those who are getting admitted. If don't have insurance and have a requirement of medical management, probably it becomes not a sustainable in that way and not affordable. But those who afford medical care and they just required facility, and there are like we can balance both the things. 80% people are paying capacity, 20 are of less paying capacity, so they can cover up the 20% of the population if 80% of people are paid. So we have this calculation that it's sustainable model. It's a sustainable model.
Thank you. And just one more question to you is, how many beds you have in your current facility, the two facilities?
In Vasai, we have 20 bed facility in Vasai, and another assisted living center we have open in Duktan, Palghar. We almost have 6 bed facility. We are coming up with the extra beds in Vasai, another full floor of 20 beds. So it become 40 bed facility in Vasai. A very nice location. This is actually this place where we are having, where Lord Chaitanya personally visited that place. It is called Shurparuk place, Nala Supara, closer to now it becomes Nala Supara. It's a very beautiful place, beautiful location, natural location. So we are coming up with a new 20 bed facility there in Swami Shraddhanand Hospital in Vasai. And in Palghar also we are creating another facility of assisted living center. Already one small place is there of 6 bed. We are going to increase it to another 10 beds there.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sachi Pran Prabhu. And I request Sakshi Gopal Prabhu to flash both our doctors' email IDs on the screen in case anybody wants to connect with them for further guidance. Now coming back to Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, we see that in today's context, there are two kinds of aging devotees. One is those who have been dependent on temple for most part of their lives, and they may not have, either disciples or others specifically to take care of them. They may not be so well known, but they are growing old and they need care. And of course, there is a second kind who are basically congregation devotees who have naturally, family and others to take care and also have a financial backing. So especially in the first category, when especially we find many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples not having sufficient means of care in the old age. So what are some of the ways in which you feel care can be given, considering all the various facilities which, different governments and medical authorities across the world are providing? And in your experience and expertise as a geriatric specialist, what would be some of your recommendations, so that we could improve the overall landscape of care, especially for those who are extremely vulnerable in today's context?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gaurang Prabhu, for bringing up this very important topic of caring for those ISKCON devotees who are either brahmacharis or sannyasis, or they are pujaris, or just doing service in the temple, and they don't necessarily have a source of income or family to help them, biological family. In ISKCON, we are all one spiritual family. So this group of devotees, I have seen, Gaurang Prabhu, they are extremely vulnerable because they have not really had a job in the material world, because throughout their youth, they have worked in the temple. They have given their life to Srila Prabhupada's mission. And because they have not contributed towards social security, they don't get social security checks that much. And some of them are even on a visa. They are not even citizens. I'm talking about specifically devotees in the United States, but this principle applies to all the devotees all over the world. They are serving in the temple, and they don't have the resources, they don't have the infrastructure to really take care of them. So some guiding principles that I would like to share is, first of all, as managers or as temple leaders, congregation leaders, we need to understand that taking care of the Varishta Vaishnavas, the geriatric devotees in our congregation, requires attention to certain specific details. For example, there are very specific problems for the geriatric devotees which we may not see in the younger population. To give you a few examples, a Varishta Vaishnava may be in need of dentures. Now the teeth have fallen out, they don't have enough teeth to eat the prasad, to chew the prasad. So they may just need dentures, and they may feel embarrassed to seek help. I have seen a devotee who some devotees were thinking is beginning to develop dementia. And they told me that, I think this devotee is losing it. He's losing his memory. He is developing dementia. Can you take a look? And when I spoke to that devotee, I realized that his only problem is he's hard of hearing, and all he needs is hearing aids. And we got hearing aids. They're expensive, $500, $600. So, but when we got him hearing aids, his cognition and his interaction with devotees improved significantly. So these specific things like dentures, getting an audiometry evaluation for our Varishta Vaishnavas, or getting their eyesight checked. I have seen one Vaishnava fall and almost break a bone. Fortunately, he did not have a fracture, but almost broke a bone. And the reason he fell was uncorrected vision. All he needed was a optometrist evaluation and new glasses. He could not see, and he didn't have the resources to go to an optometrist and pay $200, $300 to get new glasses. And because of that, he almost had a fracture. So things like that, if we can, as a congregation, understand and realize the importance of taking care of our Varishta Vaishnavas, and just be little, develop funds or resources for those specific areas where they may need. I saw one devotee, he had pain in the belly, so he called me to the temple to examine him. And I was examining him, and I was asking him general questions about his well-being. And I asked him, Prabhu, so are you keeping okay? Are you doing all right? And he said, yes, overall I'm doing good, but just this belly keeps hurting. And it turned out he had a UTI. And when I told him to lift up his kurta and I was examining his belly, I could smell urine. So I asked him, Prabhu, are you having urine incontinence? Are you having urine accidents? And he was very embarrassed, but he said, yes, Prabhu. Every time I sing kirtan loudly, or I cough, or I sneeze, I have incontinence. So he was having urinary incontinence. Again, this is a specific geriatric syndrome. It is specific to the geriatric population, which we don't think of in other devotees. And then we had to address his incontinence was because of UTI. We treated the UTI, and his incontinence reduced. But these are some of the very embarrassing health issues which our seniors have. And if we just have knowledge and we have an eye for these problems, then we can address them specifically. And I also feel that we as a congregation need to set aside certain funds to take care of devotees who live in the temple and who don't have health insurance, and therefore their access to healthcare is limited. Is that okay, Gaurang Prabhu?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing some of these, real examples. And I think it's a very, very important point which you have brought, that the community as a whole has to come forward and support this. So, turning back to you, Sachipran Prabhu, that you have been connected with the Bhaktivedanta Hospital and the outreach activities uh, for last several years. So, what are some of your thoughts on how we can actually make treatment, medical treatment, affordable? What are some of the ways in which we can have even someone who does not have so much of access to funds? How can we make it accessible for such people across the world? What are some of your thoughts based on your experience?
Uh, in our Bhaktivedanta Hospital, Prabhuji, we do a lot of surgeries with the support of corporates, through corporate CSR funds. We used to operate almost 15,000 surgeries for the elderly Vaishnavas of cataract and many other services for the elderly. It is possible just because of support, and definitely with the corporate CSR funding support, we could do this. And similar way, I think when we open this channel of Vaishnav Seva to all the Varisht Vaishnavas who have given up their life and give their life to mission of Srila Prabhupada, definitely many will come in forward to support this initiative. I am very sure about it. Once we are open this channel of specifically taking care of elderly Vaishnavas, devotee care, and I'm sure people, devotees will come forward, support this, and we have a dedicated fund for devotee care in all our ISKCON centers, so that whenever they are coming and joining the Krishna conscious movement, and definitely they will feel completely, secured from all other aspects. And Bhaktivedanta Hospital also is coming up with the database of all the devotees who are on the regular medication, who will require expert opinion. Through the digital platform, we can have counseling and medical treatment given to them, so that they did not to come and be admitted in a facility. They can be taken care where they are, so it can be reduce the cost. Only in case of they need admission facility, that kind we can use that dedicated devotee care fund, and the medical expenses can be definitely supported through that initiative. And I am very confident that all the congregation members will support this initiative. So I think fund is not a problem. We need to train people how to take care. As a caregiver, we have to train all the caregivers in case of Vaishnav Seva, and create a separate facility for Varishta Vaishnavas. Uh, at least for two locations, I can suggest in Vrindavan and Mayapur, and any other locations where congregation is wanted to settle there after their service. So I think fund is not an issue, Gaurang Prabhu. I think devotees will come forward and support, and we have a model of how to sustain it. We definitely will create a model of sustainability for this devotee care, and we can even medical care can be supported through CSR partners, through like they are already supporting to many initiatives of our activities. So it is possible to support that service of Varishta Vaishnavas.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sachipran Prabhu, for sharing some of your, practical experiences, which is very, very useful. And I'm very hopeful that this kind of a program can be set up. In that context, right now we do not have any organized body of knowledge available for the world of ISKCON to be guided from. So this is my next question to Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, that what is it that both of you are planning with respect to creating a set of resources for training ISKCON leaders in this area of devotee care, because most of the temples across the world may not have the luxury of having. Some congregations have devotee who are doctors, but others may or may not have. So some kind of resources which you can develop would be of great help. So are you planning anything in that direction, and what is the progress in that direction?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Gaurang Prabhu, Sachipran Prabhu, and myself, we are working on writing a manual which has the best practice recommendations for different ISKCON congregations, big temples, big projects, medium-sized temples, and also small congregations. And this manual will cater to the specific needs of all ISKCON congregations and communities. And it will have tips, best practices, recommendations on how a congregation can go about caring for the Varishtha Vaishnavas physically, medically, socially, psychologically, and also spiritually. And we are going to be in very close touch, and our aim is that by October, we want to have a rough draft ready by the end of October. So that's where we are, Gaurang Prabhu.
So what are some of the things you are including in that, presentation? What you are planning?
We are including brief Shastric references, how Varishtha Vaishnav Seva is very cardinal to the culture of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Prabhu kahe Vaishnav Seva nama sankirtan dui kara shigra pave Krishnera charan. And many examples from our scriptures also like that, which will convince, because we need to really understand and be convinced about the need to do this, have a dedicated team, have dedicated funds to take care of the Varishtha Vaishnavas. Because as you rightly pointed out, funds are always short, and there are so many projects which demand attention. And this Varishtha Vaishnava population is very vulnerable. So we have to give them a voice, and we have to understand and recognize the need to take care of them. So it will have those references. And then we are dividing it into medical care, dental care, psychological care, psychosocial care, because a lot of devotees I have seen, they need help with their living situation also. So if there are any devotees in the neighborhood or even in the neighboring cities or states who have expertise in medical social work, they can give us many resources, how these patients, how these Varishtha Vaishnavas can be placed in a safe location, whether it is independent living with some assistance or assisted living facility or nursing home. I was very happy to hear how Sachipran Prabhu is developing those assisted living facilities exclusively for devotees. I think we need them in every country where we have temples. And then it will also include spiritually taking care of devotees. A lot of it will also involve educating the congregation leaders and the congregation devotees in general. This manual will be relevant to not just the leaders in ISKCON, but all ISKCON devotees. And it will educate the devotees on how we have to understand that the geriatric population, the Varishtha Vaishnavas, are a little different. Like Sachipran Prabhu was mentioning, they are almost like children in many ways. They may talk or think or speak little differently than what we would expect from a younger devotee. There is an example in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells. I like this story very much, Gaurang Prabhu. It is hidden in the pages of Chaitanya Charitamrita, but I love it very much. And it shows geriatric care. When the devotees from Bengal, they come to Nilachal to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is one particular year, Kaviraj Goswami says, there was a particular devotee. His name, I think, was Parameshwar Modak. He was the sweet maker from Navadvip. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was just a small boy in Nimai, he used to go to the house and he would eat sweetmeats, sandesh and rasgullas given by Parameshwar Modak and his wife. And then Mahaprabhu grows up, he becomes Nimai Pandit, and then he becomes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, becomes sannyasi. And now this Parameshwar Modak has become very old. And his wife has also become old. But they still remember how Nimai used to come and ask them for sweetmeats every day. And one particular year, they somehow take the arduous journey with Shivananda Sen. They come to Nilachal And when Parmeshwar Modak meets Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu is standing with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Gopinath Acharya, all these great devotees, Kashi Mishra, Ramananda Rai, Swarup Damodar. And Parmeshwar Modak asks him, Mahaprabhu is very happy to see him, and he says, it's very nice that this year you have come, Parmeshwar Modak. And then Parmeshwar Modak tells him, even your auntie has come, Mukundera Mata has also come. And then that was inappropriate based on the social norms. You cannot talk about a lady to a sannyasi. And Kaviraj Goswami says that Mahaprabhu, he was little uncomfortable when he spoke like that, just out of affection. And Mahaprabhu made him very comfortable. He smiled and he didn't say anything. He did not chastise him. So I learned from this that sometimes our Varishtha Vaishnavas, out of intimacy or out of some inconceivable reasons, they may speak or act little differently. And we as devotees should not criticize them or ostracize them or avoid them, that they are embarrassing. They may say something which is inappropriate. Mahaprabhu did not do that. This particular exchange is so sweet. And Kaviraj Goswami writes that Mahaprabhu was internally very happy to hear that Parmeshwar Modak said that Mukundera Mata also has come, that auntie who used to cook rasgullas for you, she has also come. So in this way, if we can understand that Varishtha Vaishnavas are a little different, and it is just the age, everything is aging, their cognition is also getting affected, their memory is getting affected, their hearing is getting affected. They may not remember the verses. I was talking to one very senior Vaishnava. He's one of the pujaris, our pujaris. He said, 20-30 years ago, I knew almost 500 verses of Bhagavad Gita. But he said, now it's hard for me to remember. Now I know only 50 or 60. So everything declines with age. And this, as a congregation, we need to understand and help, support, encourage, and embrace these changes which happen with aging. So all these things we want to include, Gaurang Prabhu, the different aspects of Varishtha Vaishnava care. And we will try to come up with a rough draft by the end of October. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for sharing that amazing experience from Chaitanya Charitamrita with Mahaprabhu and Parmeshwar Modak. And that reminds me that Chaitanya Charitamrita itself was written by Kaviraj Goswami when he was in his very, very advanced Varishta years. Ami Briddha Jaratur Likhite Kaapayakar Manakichu Smarane na hoye. So he says, I'm so old, my hands are trembling, I cannot remember anything. Na dekhiye noyane na shunya shravane tabu likhi e bada vismay. That I'm able to write itself is a great astonishment, because I'm not able to see. But this shows that sense gratification has a retirement age, but service has no retirement age. And therefore, devotees, however old they may become, they are always, eager to serve. And therefore, as part of our old age care, we should try to facilitate in the best possible way how we can care for devotees whose bodies may not be able to serve the way it used to before, but whose hearts are filled with unlimited enthusiasm to serve. So maybe I'll request Sachipran Prabhu to also share some real life stories of some of the experiences you have had with some Varishta people in the course of their caring, and which would be inspiring for any of our hearers. You can share some stories.
Yes. So one of very dear disciple of Srila Prabhupada, is Sachi Mata. Sachi Mata Devi. She was in Mayapur. She was a Bengali cook and very dear to Srila Prabhupada. She was a cook of Srila Prabhupada. She was sharing all the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. And she used to say me ki Prabhuji, Sachi Pran, you are Sachi Pran and I am Sachi Mata. So you are like my you are a Pran of Mahaprabhu and I'm mother of Mahaprabhu, and I feel so joy with you, and whenever you call me and share your nice stories. So Sachi Mata used to come regularly to Bhaktivedanta Hospital. She was actually on a classical example. I can tell you, she was taking care of Jagannath temple in Godrum Dip, and Shankarshan Prabhu was a senior Bengali disciple of Srila Prabhupada. they are like my parents, and they used to call me regularly, and they come to my home. And Sachi Mata is having a lot of physical problems. She was having a sarcoidosis, and she required a costly medicine, and that time the medicine also was not available on regular basis, and there is a lack of funds. There is no support system. Somehow she was getting some support from Mayapur authorities, but her cost and all the medical treatment and all the management, there was no funding. Prabhuji is also elderly Vaishnava, so these are very classical these devotees. And then I told her, Mataji, don't worry about your medicines. 1 year medicines will be regularly given to you, and you don't worry about it. You take the medicines on time. And she used to feel so much joy, and someone is taking care of her and understanding her well. And then she used to have, she has written some books, cooking books, and she used to sell, she used to bring the saris from the Mayapur, and she used to give it to the devotees as a love and loving exchange. A very loving mother I left actually, and this Sachi Mata has taught me so many lessons in the life that I have not done much great service to them, but they have given so much love to me. So I think in giving you receive much. So when we give it to so much love to even our elderly Vaishnavas, I am sure about we'll get much more realization of our bhakti, and we get a mercy of Vaishnavas, as Adhikata Prabhu was mentioning. He sharing some service, giving some service to Vaishnavas, elderly Vaishnavas, he has a different joy. And I think in doing that service to such Vaishnavas who have served Srila Prabhupada, dedicated their life to Srila Prabhupada's mission, is a great joy. So I have many examples, but I can share this Sajimata's example because it's a classical example. And she was having a lot of financial difficulties for getting medicines, some medical treatment. But I always find a joy in serving her, and she was not having any son. So this is another emotional aspect of a elderly Vaishnava. They feel someone is need to be taken care. Although they have everything, there is a support system, but they need someone who has a caring heart, someone who understands the heart. So emotional management, mental management is also 50% of elderly care. A physical management is lesser aspect. Only if someone has a disorder. Otherwise, medical, mental management and emotional care, and someone who's having loving attachment with elderly Vaishnava, I think that will give us hope in future. So we need to create attitude in the junior devotees or the Vaishnavas to take care of the senior Vaishnavas, because attitude of serving the elderly Vaishnavas is to be at place, because you will have infrastructure, you will have funding arrangement, everything. If there is no heart to serve, probably they will not feel good, and they don't like to be have service from anyone who don't have a that kind of attitude, because they have specifically they need of a reciprocation of caring heart. So this is my realization with Sachi Mata.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this is really very sweet to see how, timely assistance and a whole principle of care can really transform someone's experience in the times of difficulties they are going through. So, Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, I would like you to share with us what would be some of the three most challenging obstacles which can come in the course of old age care in your experience.
From the point of view of the devotees who are caring,
Yes.
I feel the first obstacle and the most important obstacle is education. Educating the devotees in general about how the Varishtha Vaishnava population is the most vulnerable. and how, as a global community of devotees, we need to come up with a structured program to care for our Varishtha Vaishnavas. That's the first one. Avidya. First, we have to destroy avidya. First, we have to educate the devotees that this is very important and we have to prioritize this. We have many priorities, but this is also a top priority, especially now the devotee population is aging. And I was reading Gaurang Prabhu. I found it quite unbelievable, but this is these are real statistics confirmed by WHO and CDC. In the year 1900, 120 years ago, in the United States of America, the life expectancy at birth was 47 years. The average life expectancy in the United States was 47 years in the year 1900. And now in 2020, it is almost 80 years. It's 79. So, which shows us that now the geriatric population, the Varishtha Vaishnavas, because the life expectancy has increased, we are going to have to take care of a lot of seniors. And we have to be prepared for that. Like Srila Prabhupada in his last days in Shri Shri Krishna Balram Mandir in Vrindavan Dham, he told, I think it was one of his leading disciples, Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj, or one of his leading disciples, Srila Prabhupada said, don't think that this will not happen to you. So when we look at our Varishtha Vaishnavas, we have to remind ourselves that this is going to happen to me also. So first obstacle right now is to educate the devotees in general about the importance of taking care of the senior devotees, Varishtha Vaishnavas. The second obstacle is resources. We have to have a concerted effort to bring together the nurses, the doctors, the physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, ophthalmologists or optometrists or opticians, audiologists, nutritionists in the congregation, medical social workers. We have to bring them together, and we may not have all these specialists in one city, but let's say in America, United States of America, we have a group of all these healthcare professionals. Then, even if there is a devotee in, let's say, Nashville, Tennessee, who is in need of some expertise or some guidance or some help, and this team from Atlanta, although we may be 200 miles away, we can still help. We can still, now telemedicine is everywhere. We are practicing telemedicine even in Atlanta because of COVID. So these lessons that we have learned from COVID can be utilized to practice telemedicine for devotees, even after the coronavirus pandemic, even after this coronavirus shutdown is gone. We can learn these lessons, and we can employ telemedicine to collaborate with other congregations and help out. So the second obstacle is to consolidate the resources that we have. I'm sure we have medical social workers in America who are devotees. I'm sure we have dentists. I'm sure we have ophthalmologists, optometrists, physicians in America. If we can somehow pool our resources together, consolidate our infrastructure, then we will have strength, more strength, and we will be able to help in a much better way. That is the second obstacle, because right now everything is scattered. If somebody needs financial help or somebody needs something, there is a GoFundMe. Somebody starts a GoFundMe, which is very good, but it is not structured. Like you said, there is no proper structure. So we need to bring together our infrastructure, bring together our resources so that we can help in a more effective and efficient way. That is the second challenge that we have, where we need to bring everything together, all the resources together. And the third challenge, I would say, is financial, where we have to convince the congregations that raising funds for taking care of Varishtha Vaishnavas should not be just a on-the-spot GoFundMe when something bad happens. We should have contingency fund. We should have funds set aside specifically for this. It may not be a lot, but some funds should be there for taking care of Varishta Vaishnavas. I was taking care of one devotee, and he has osteoporosis, because of which he developed a fracture, a compression fracture in the spine, and it's an extremely painful condition. And all he needed was a kyphoplasty, which is a specific procedure that we do in the hospitals. It's a daycare procedure. You come, you get it, and in few hours you can be back home or temple. But it costs some money, and because of which this devotee did not have the resources. So, but he could afford to go to a chiropractor. So he would just ask some random devotees, "Can you give me $40 for my copay for the treatment at the chiropractor today? My back is hurting." And he kept going to chiropractor, wasting hundreds of dollars, because it's a fracture. There are certain conditions where the chiropractor will be very effective, but he had a fracture and he needed some specific orthopedic treatment for that. But because he did not have the resources to get it evaluated, go to an orthopedic surgeon and get the proper treatment done, he was just getting treatment which is not effective, which is not helpful, and he was just wasting so much Lakshmi. This is because there is no telemedicine, there is no orthopedic specialist or even a physician who is available to discuss and get professional guidelines, professional help, professional advice. So the third challenge would be to somehow convince the congregations, convince the leaders to have a specific fund for taking care of the Varishta Vaishnavas. And how it is to be delegated, that the local authorities can decide. But there should be some fund, I feel. So these three things. First is educating, destroying avidya. We have to educate devotees about Varishta Vaishnava Seva. Second is we have to pool our resources together, have a structure, and be more effective and efficient with the different healthcare specialists that we have in our congregations across the world. And number three is to raise funds and have dedicated funds for taking care of Varishta Vaishnavas. Those devotees who have given their youth, who have given their best years of their life to Krishna consciousness, to Srila Prabhupada's movement. Now it is time for us to take care of them and serve them. So these three things, Gauranga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for being so clear about these three challenges. And in response to your second point on pooling resources, on 8th of October, we have a session with devotee care with respect to physical and emotional health. And we would have the entire team which we have assembled, those group of devotees, doctors who are taking care of, who are going to be actually taking care of the physical health aspect in terms of creating resources and giving guidance. So on 8th of October, 7:30 to 9, we have kept 1.5 hours with that team, because we'll be interviewing at least 5 to 6 of them. And therefore, it's going to be a pretty interesting discussion. And that will actually bring forth right at the very front how across the world of ISKCON we have so many wonderful resources of devotees who are actually in the medical field, but we are not aware of that. So we would be sharing more information about that and reaching out with the message to devotee doctors across the world, so that the second element of pooling resources can be done. So again, coming back to Sachipran Prabhu, so in your several years of experience caring for the old and the aged, how important you feel has been the value of family values with respect to aging for the old? And you had run this hospice at Vrindavan, Sri Vrindavan Dham. So could you share with us something about your experience running this hospice? And also, do you think that in the context where family values are very strong and people are really bonded with the family, in this kind of scenario, is a concept of hospice relevant? Because most people want to then, spend their last days with their family, rather than in a hospice-like situation in some other place, even though it may be Vrindavan. So some people are extremely excited about the whole idea of a hospice, but you have, direct experience of running the place for 10 years. So could you share some light on whether the whole concept of a hospice is a romantic idea, or do you really think that it works, or do you think in the current Vaishnava context it has a place?
Thank you, Gaurav Prabhu. Definitely, now presently we have nuclear families. Previously, the joint family structure, and at present there is a nuclear family structure. So, in nuclear family structure, there is no direct training is there, and there is no interaction between the elderly care. So, as of now in Bombay, many of the places, in even devotees also, they are staying in a nuclear families. There is no joint family. Hardly we see joint families. So family values are definitely are not there, but definitely we aim for that. All the elderly person should be taken care of the family, because it is it is need of the society also, and it is in future also in grahastha's life. Definitely the senior grahasthas can be taken care by their own family members, but I can find this place of hospice is for senior Vaishnavas, those who are sannyasis and vanaprasthas life, because in that case, context hospice is needed, assisted living center is needed. And but when we created this platform of hospice Vrindavan, we are expecting a huge response, but somehow there is no response like that, and we have only some of the senior most Vaishnavas like Gunagrahi Maharaj, so many Vaishnavas who departed from Vrindavan, and His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj has been a very pioneer in creating this hospice, and he has given his so much uh, time for the hospice, his energy, the land, so many things. But what happened when we created the infrastructure to running this facility free of cost? Because we are running for a Brajvasi also, we are running for ISKCON devotees also. So we have created one floor for ISKCON Vaishnavas and another floor for Brajvasis. So in a free kind of facility, yes, definitely everyone was getting the service free of cost. They are happy. But in case of ISKCON Vaishnavas, in case of senior Vaishnavas, we got only few senior Vaishnavas who decided to come to hospice. So that's a setback for hospice, I can say. But is need of R is to create a facility within the society, within the campus, within the house of a grahasthas to take care properly by their family members. But definitely, when there is a medical care required, we need such facilities. And those who are completely detached and they want to be remain aloof from the grahastha ashram, and like vanaprasthas joining. So for that, this hospice and assisted living center is needed probably. And I find that this is a need of our. We cannot deny completely that we don't require assisted living center and hospice. Definitely, we need, if there is a proper structure, proper facilities. Definitely, devotees will preferably staying in assisted living. But old age, as of now, we see are why to keep our old parent into old age. What kind of gesture it is? But now, because of the structure, people are living in a nuclear family. There is a lot of differences of opinion between the elderly Vaishnava, elderly person and then the younger person. There's a lot of thinking process, change in the thought process, and there is no matching to stabilize the grahastha ashram. Sometimes they have to give some of the parents to the old age home in the elderly care. If there is a good option, assisted living center option, then definitely it is a great support to society. And I will recommend that hospice and assisted living center should be there to support such Vaishnavas, because there is a practical difficulties, the financial thing, as well as inside the house, taking care of a elderly person, it requires another person to support that, and a dedicated support system is required. If there is now both the parents are working and so many things are in the house to balance the entire spiritual life and as well as material life, and again taking care of the elderly person who's having a medical disorder is difficult thing to at home level. So palliative care is required. Definitely, hospice has its own place. But my experiences of in hospice Vrindavan is we were thinking many proper disciples and many of the senior Vaishnavas will come and avail this facility. But we have not so big response, I can say. But yes, many Vaishnavas left, departed from the place. We are serving them still today. So definitely there is a place, but don't expect that the huge response will come for palliative care. There is no expectation that huge response will come for palliative care. But assisted living center, definitely the response will be there. And addition to assisted living center, some medical care, it is a need of a hour. I guess it is a need of an hour.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was very, very useful, because sometimes when we do not have a clear idea about what would work and what would not work, then we may waste our energy or get diverted by various ideas. And I think you have more than 12 years of experience now handling the palliative care unit in Vrindavan. So I think one very important area which both of you should be working on is create online resources by which devotees from across the world could get trained. Even they may not be full-fledged medical professionals, but I think that the kind of modules you should create should be able to educate anybody who is sincerely looking to learn some basic steps and principles by which they could themselves take care of aged people within their families and within their communities. So I think if you plan some modules which would really help to communicate in the Vaishnava context, what are some of the do's and the don'ts. So along with the manual and resources which you are planning in the printed form, I think you should also plan for any series which should be shot on camera, so that it could be an online course. And I think you could run a whole certificate course also, so that devotees can be certified in terms of caring, and the training can be given. So maybe you should also plan in that direction. So any last comments you would like to make, Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, to the ISKCON community across the world with respect to caring for the aged?
I would just like to share two experiences. One is when I entered the medical field of geriatrics, I had a very interesting experience during my training.
Yeah, your voice is not clear.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
So when I was training here at Emory University, I had a very wonderful experience as a geriatrician. What they made us do was, there is something called as a geriatric simulator suit. So it's a suit, body suit that you wear. It's a geriatric simulator. And when you wear it, it gives you a feeling of what it feels like being old. So your vision becomes blurry. You're not able to hear clearly. You have to ask people to speak louder. As you move, as you walk, your knees hurt, your joints hurt, your gait is slower because of the suit. So all these, the simulator, geriatric simulator suit, you can look it up online. It's a very nice concept to produce genuine empathy among healthcare providers who care for the seniors. And I found that very useful, the geriatric simulator suit. It really, it's a very sobering experience to wear that suit, because it gives you so much empathy for our Varishta Vaishnavas and for all older people, how they feel, how difficult life is. And certain things you cannot simulate. You cannot simulate decline in the cognition. You cannot simulate decline in the memory. But all those things are there. So that is one thing I would like to share. Another thing I would like to share is taking care, serving the Varishta Vaishnavas is a very, very fulfilling and enriching experience. I would like to share one experience that I had around 5-6 years ago here in Atlanta, New Panihati Dham. So we have Alachua very close by, and we have some Srila Prabhupada's disciples living there, and some were even living in North Georgia. And one Srila Prabhupada's disciple, one Mataji, she was at the end of her life. And as you know, Gaurang Prabhu, end of life discussions are very important when it comes to older adults. We need to have those discussions. Do you want to have full resuscitation, or do you want to do not resuscitate? Who is the healthcare proxy? Who should we contact to make medical decisions if you are not able to do it? Who has the medical power of attorney? All those things have to be documented. And these are all part of taking care of Varishtha Vaishnavas. So this lady, this Vaishnavi, she was at the end of her life, and she had very intelligently created a living will where she had said, I do not want to be resuscitated. When Krishna calls me, just let me go. So she was brought when she was very critical. She was living in a town called Rome in North Georgia. She was brought to Atlanta, and she was admitted to a nursing facility, but not as a nursing home resident, as a hospice patient. So she was undergoing hospice care at the nursing home because she did not have enough resources, family members to take care of her at home. She lived by herself. She was alone. So she was brought here, and we got the news that a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, a glorious Vaishnavi, she is leaving her body here under hospice care in a nursing home. Dashrath Sut Prabhu, he is one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, a Sanskrit and Bengali scholar from Alachua. He has written many books, Gauranga Lila Amrit and all. So he came and he told me that this Mataji is there, please let us do something for her. So some of the devotees, we went and we were chanting for her, doing japa, kirtan next to her, and serving in whatever way we could. And when the time came for her to leave her body, one Srila Prabhupada's disciple came from Alachua, and he had a Govardhan Shila, and he took the Govardhan Shila and lovingly placed it in the right palm of this Vaishnavi, this Mataji. And we were all chanting, Prabhupada's kirtan was going on, and she left her body under the most auspicious circumstances, holding Govardhan Shila in her right palm. And later on, Dashrath Sut Prabhu told me that, Prabhuji, I had tears in my eyes when I saw how Govardhan Shila came to her in this God-forsaken nursing facility somewhere in the corner of Atlanta. How Govardhan Shila, how Giriraj Maharaj came to this Vaishnavi. I said, why are you so surprised? He said, because she is the first disciple of Srila Prabhupada to do Govardhan Parikrama. She was one of those earliest disciples who went, and she was the first lady disciple, Vaishnavi, to do Govardhan Parikrama, Srila Prabhupada's disciple. And now when she was leaving her body, just see the reciprocation from Giriraj. Giriraj himself came to be with her. So I found this experience so amazing, and I realized how enriching, how rewarding, how nourishing it is to serve these senior Varishtha Vaishnavas. They are not ordinary people. If Govardhan is reciprocating with them, imagine how much reciprocation we will get if we humbly serve them. So just these two things I wanted to share, Gaurang Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much, Sachipran Prabhu and Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, for sharing your valuable experience. You have got years and years of experience, which is going to be very, very useful to the entire ISKCON community to help create standards and systems by which communities and temples across the world could actually improve the quality of their seva to the Varishtha Vaishnavas. So next week, we will have His Grace Devaki Nandan Prabhu from Singapore, who is the GBC Council for Legal Affairs, and he's going to be sharing his experiences and how ISKCON temples and communities can improve their overall legal systems and awareness about legal compliances. And then the week after that, of course, on 8th, we are going to be having our conversation with the healthcare professionals, and that ties in to what Adi Gadadhar Prabhu today mentioned, that apart from education, the second thing you really need apart from the funding and education is that pooling of resources, and the initiative on the 8th would really help us do that. So we are just beginning to take baby steps in the direction of putting different elements of devotee care together. And we look forward to the support and the cooperation of ISKCON devotees from across the world, especially the leaders, to take this initiative. And I'm sure that within the next 1 or 2 years, we will see tremendous progress in each one of these verticals being led by such experienced professionals. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.